Boom, boom, ho, ho, the future of the specky, where will it go? Y'all better start to feel the thirst and some new blood ahead. If a rookie ain't picked, Christmas can be extinct, cause I'll be jingling bombs and singing shriek.
All right, people. Welcome to Bomb Rookies Week 11, lesson number 7, consistency. Our third component of the 4 components of your prospect grade. So, let's get right on into it. What is consistency? Consistency is conformity in the application of something, typically that which is necessary for the sake of logic, accuracy, or fairness. So basically, this means stable performance over time. You can be counted on to reach a certain minimal level year after year, day after day. When you apply yourself to something, you can expect conformity or similar results every time you do it. And we value consistency because it allows use of logic, accuracy, and fairness, because if somebody can do something over and over and over again consistently, then we can logically, accurately, and fairly say that we can count on them to do that again next year. So what does this mean in the context of the spectacular? Well, in the context of the spectacular, consistency would be where the concept of your slate comes in. A 3-year slate is evidence that you can perform at an elite level year in and year out, and that the committee can count on you if you are honored with a draft pick. And it also is involved, has to do with being an active member of the community throughout the year, on Twitter during campaign season, yada yada yada. Whatever you may think of this, probably the most controversial, really the only controversial element of the 4 components of the prospect grade, probably. As I started the show with, it has its value. Logic, accuracy, fairness. It shows who the people you can count on are, and that's something that we should all value for sure. So my goal today is to show you rookies out there that you can have consistency and you can show consistency even without your slate. So how do you do that? Well, to start with, you show your consistency just by showing up. Go to the spectacular. Of course, step 1. The more times you go, better it'll be. Campaign. Obviously, be active on Twitter. Get your name out there. Make your voice heard. The more times people think about you, hear about you, the more involved you are. That all goes to consistency. It shows you're there no matter what. You'll always be there. The more often you're there, the more consistent you're there, the more consistent your score will be. And as a rookie specifically, you obviously don't have a slate, so the main ways you achieve consistency are the other things I said: being active on Twitter and in the campaign. And if you do this exceptionally well, they can give some great hints to the committee for which they could base a projection on for you, projecting you to be consistent over the years, projecting you out, and deciding that based on their projections, you have the consistency needed to be a draft pick. And that is how you show consistency as a rookie. It's all about really Twitter and campaigning. So how do you show consistency during the campaign? A little bit more specifics on that. As I've said a few times, it's all about the Twitter is really a place you can show consistency. Tweet regularly. Make your voice heard. Whether it be a nice, I love this about Candy King Costa. Nobody uses Twitter better than him. He doesn't get bogged down in the fights. He just goes and drops Christmas cheer, little random things on his mind. I mean, great use of it. Use Twitter to announce things. People have debates on Twitter. You don't have to get wired down in those, but stay up to date in them. Let your opinions get out there, even if you're not getting into the weeds. Make sure you're checking Twitter to find out, that's where all the news and the updates are going to come in. And again, the more time people see you in their Twitter feed, the more they're going to be thinking about you. And the more you'll be able to rise in the consistency ranks. So Twitter, step 1. Step 2, just stay involved in general. Keep informed and up to date on Specky content and developments. Watch the videos that the great videos everybody's putting out. Everybody's putting out great content. Everybody is. I really mean that. I mean, I know it's a lot, but it is so worth it. My favorite thing to do this semester has been, watch Specky content. People might think I hate the stuff that people are putting out, but I love it. I love watching it. It's entertaining. It's really fun. And it's worth your time. So stay involved. It's what the spec is all about. And let your opinions be known. Don't be afraid to have opinions. Don't be afraid to let them be known. You can probably do it in better ways than I do it, but get them out there. Be a contributing member of the community. Here's a big one for me is I think you got to produce content regularly. It's one thing to drop bombs, and that was really my approach last year. And it still is how I think about my main approach is I do still want to be known as somebody who's a bomb dropper. But that being said, if you're in there day in, day out, I mean, that is another level of commitment and consistency that you can show, especially as a rookie when you don't have the slate necessarily to be able to boost you. Being there day in and day out is really the way to do it. So put out some consistent content along with your bombs. Hopefully it's still recording. Here we go. Go to the town halls. That's a big one. Make sure you show up for those. That's similar to attending the Specky in a sense. If you can make it to the town halls, it's a good sign. If you can't, you might worry if you can't show up to the Specky. Just be a member of the community is what it really boils down to. So how do you show consistency day off the Specky? Well, show up. That's really what you do. You show up. Whether or not you were drafted, show up. Do whatever it takes to show up. Obviously, if you can't, if you have a valid reason that's been talked about, I think that should be excused. But do everything in your power to show up. And when you show up, just give your max effort. That's really what consistency is all about. If you're putting your max effort in, there's worried about somebody that's going to show up and have a dud of a year. So if you're putting in your max effort, that isn't going to happen. So how do you show that? Stay the whole time and show improvement. If you're improving year over year as you develop, it's going to be a sign you're putting your max effort in. And I understand consistency is the toughest one for a rookie because you don't have a slate. But don't get frustrated. Rookies have made it every year anyway. Do your best and trust that with time you will ace this part too. So, moving on to our rankings part of the show, I have no change from I believe the last 2 weeks now. Mistletoe still a number one. In my opinion, he should pretty much have locked up, not locked up, but close to locked up that number 4 spot overall, in my opinion. And Yuletide at number 2, and I think he's got the edge for number 5 at the moment. So keep it up, boys. But just because I say it, you could be on the outside looking in as far as the committee is concerned. So keep dropping bombs. Keep fighting through. Merry Madness. Love the foundation you built. Love your appearance on 6S Season 2. Keep up the good work building for next year. No new jingle bombings this week. But Yuletide, you still got 3 outstanding jingle bombings. Take advantage of those as you're fighting for a spot. Mistletoe, you still got 1. Use that one too. You're fighting for a spot as well. So next week, we're going to go for Originality, the last of our 4 components. As always, send me any questions or ideas that you have for the show as we're winding towards the end. That's all I got for you, folks. It's been a pleasure, as always. Be consistent.
Boom, boom, ho, ho, the future of the Specky, where will it go? Y'all better start to feel the terrorist and some new blood here. If Rookie and picked, Christmas to be extinct, 'cause I'll be jingling my bombs until it's extinct.